Well, hello, friends. I'm going to have to lower my voice a little bit. Allow me to check to see if this is running. I know I haven't been doing my lore streams for a little while, but I figured now that I will, I'm going to do it as this character. I'm joined by my in-game character, who will assist, or at least dance like an idiot in front of the fire. For fun. There we go. Alright. So allow me to get started on the lore reading. Today, we're going to start with Fool's Ebony Part the 1th. Now, I'm not sure we're going to get all the way through it because it's quite big. Let me make things a little better here. There. Okay. Now, this may be a little difficult to follow because there's many parts and I can't do voices for all the parts because this is just not too much for me. This is called Fool's Ebony Part the 1th by Friendships. Part 1 of a playful story of an adventurer and Fool's Ebony. And it comes from the daggerfall games. So we're still reading these plays here. You'll have to try to figure out what's going on here because there's multiple characters and I'll do my best. But Part the 1th, concerning priests and knackles, as related at length by two priests of Akatosh to the adventurer, me, who at the time was not having an adventure and had nothing better to do, in which some, probably unwanted light, is shed upon the priesthood and its members, and upon an old peasant myth of some significance, especially common in High Rock, and in which the mysterious Fool's Ebony appears. That strange material that could bring either drastic cultural change for the many, or just great profit for a few, or death for a bunch, or have no result whatsoever. Sorry about that. I vanished out. Early in the month of Frostfall, the dead Daedra Inn. Our poor players will try to remember their lines and not trip over the meager set. I beg you, the audience, not to heckle, badger, or throw rotten foodstuffs. You will only make this short play last longer. It's not that short. The Guild of Playwrights, Actors, and Dramatists wish any of you who are sensitive or allergic to rambling dialogue, wooden acting, incomprehensible exposition, or unsatisfying endings to leave one confused and unhappy to exit the theater immediately. Your gold will, alas, not be refunded. As a saving grace, this series of vignettes contains gratuitous references to all pleasures of the flesh. You may enjoy it. Here comes our hero, the roguish. I guess I'm a dark elf. We'll say that I'm not a dark elf for right now. We'll pretend I'm a Nord with a Western accent. Called the Adventurer. It is time for prologue to trip merrily away. Enter the Adventurer. What an odd conversation I just heard between those two mages. It is best not to speak of such matters next to privy hedges. Enter two priests of Akatosh, Liban and Koman. Liban. Mind if we join you, fellow? Good. Need some company ourselves. I am named Liban. My fellow priest here is Koman. We both serve Akatosh, all in our own ways, of course. Make yourself at home. It's not my bench. But I thought that priests didn't go to places like this, inns. I mean, unless on duty. I'm going to kill off the accent and also get my character standing by the fire a little bit. If I can kill off the accent. I'm not sure I'll be able to. Okay. Oh, this is Liban getting back into it. Liban says, "Oh, we're not on duty. Got to regenerate our internal vital energies so we can go on blessing and curing. Come on. We often come here, hike up our robes, kick up our heels, as it were, fill up with some bottled energy. Looking for those in need of comfort and blessing, of course. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Like that young girl outside the other evening." Laban kicks Coman. "And anyway, our high priest told us to get lost. He means told us to get some air. We've been having visions, you see. Yeah, sort of weird, really. And we hadn't even been taking any of that." Laban kicks Coman. "Both of us have been having the same visions. Real odd." "Do tell. I'm not going anywhere in a hurry." "Well, we've both been hearing sort of words for a start, like Sir Nick or Saint Knack." "You said Nick or Knack? Just a minute. Let me have a swig from your bottle, brother. Ah, that's better. High-class stuff you fellows drink. Yes, I recall some story or old legend about an elf, name of Knuckle, I think. From Morrowind? You know, maybe you are onto something there. There is an old legend around these parts. Comes from High Rock, I think. I wouldn't worry too much about chat. I'm in character anyway. Let me help you with that bottle. Thanks. It seemed as that several dark elves use that name, Knackles, particularly the more peculiar ones. I am fine. I'm just doing a lore reading. Coleman, yes, I guess the bad ones are all of that weird weapons magica stuff. Very nasty fellows. Coleman, this fellow's got pointy ears and red eyes. Pardon me, friend. It's sort of dark and I didn't, Oh, that's so fine. These are strange times. You know, live and let live, or die, as the case may be. Now, suppose you tell me about this Knackles myth. Here, let me help you with that bottle. Thanks. Sure, if you want to put it that way. Here, have another swig. Sure, we've got the time, and I recall it clearly now. Yes, we've got a couple hours till that little blonde shows up at her lamp. Quiet. Remember, we had to tell the high priest her address, so she won't be around for a while. Very well. Here's the story best as I can recall it. This is a tale the peasants up in High Rock tell their kids to scare them into being good for a while, I guess. They tell it, let me see, either on Tales and Talos, or is it Witches' Festival? Just before the kids are sent out to the barn or pigsty to sleep. Nasty, cruel peasants, but then I'd send them all out to the midden. Really, come on. Remember, those poor souls need our compassion and blessing. We are their salvation. Now, who's in old high mucky muck study? Anyway, it goes a bit like this. If the kids had been real good during the year, filched enough in the market, mucked out the stables every day, not gone playing with goblins, left the sheep alone, and so on. If they've been real good, they've got nothing to worry about. But if they haven't been real good, then there's this nasty, horrid dark elf spirit called Knackles. Doesn't look like your typical dark elf. Thinner, taller, pasty white face, long as your arm. Walks like his knees and elbows bend the wrong way. Snickers like when you drag your fingernails across slate. Wears a tight black suit, not Khajiit, more formal suit with buttons. But too tight and small. He visits the bad girls and... Why are you talking about old high mucky again, Liban? Sorry, with these two, it's hard to keep track of who's saying what, so I'll try to be as helpful as I can with trying to figure it out. But there really isn't much difference between the two priests, except they're both idiots, and they're both drunk. You really must excuse Coleman here. Overwork, you know. Too many curings and conversations. Anyway, old nasty Knuckles is supposed to wander under our Tamriel in dirty, deep, dark, dwarven tunnels. Everywhere under the lands, if you can believe that. Rides in a rusty, squeaky old mine cart on mine tracks. Adventure says, I saw some of those in Fanglair once, down in Hammerfell, a long, long while ago. The priest, what in Sheogorath was he doing in Fanglair? Hush, if he's who I think he is, you don't want to know. Yes. Well, Knuckles gets pulled all around these deep tunnels by goblins, not your usual dirty yellow ones, but nasty black things. Anyway, they pull Knuckles around and through these dark tunnels, and then late at night, he stops below each and every bad child hovel or house or castle, makes no difference. Then he slides up the drain pipes, creeps up and cracks, crawls through the holes, oozes up weebiliettes, climbs, giggling, up garderobes, right into the kid's place. Then, if the kid's only been sort of bad, Knuckles will just mess things up in general, so the kid gets blamed. Makes greasy, dirty marks everywhere, more than usual anyway. Breaks some things, steals some things, and so on and so forth. Maybe take the sugar sweets, leave some lumps of fool's ebony instead. Fool's ebony? What's that? Heard mention of that, a few hours ago. Some mages. You did now. Interesting. All right, well, let's talk of that in a bit. Just let me finish this Knuckles thing. Well, where was I? Oh, yes. Now, if the little brat has been real bad, then all the little brat's toys get taken. The copper dagger, the wooden sword, the little whip, so on. All the kids' usual favorite things. Allow me to have a seat here by the fire. Whips? I like those. Now, if that little brat has been very, very bad, then Knuckles grabs the brat, pops him in or her into his dirty great sack, hauls the sack off down in the holes and cracks, down to his rusty old mine cart. And away they go. Hope he leaves some of the little bad girls behind. So we can save them, of course, friend. Well, sometimes, so I've heard tell, the brat never comes back. No great loss, I guess. Peasants just breed another. No about that, I do. But, as the story goes round here anyway, often the brat is just put to work, digging out lumps of fool's ebony, shoveling dirt, bagging it, extending the tunnels of the Knuckles. After a while, brat is pushed back up to where it came from. It seems that brat might think it's been a year down there, but only a day has passed up top. Brat comes back real thin and dirty, though, covered in black mess. You know, come to think of it, on the day past Witches' Festival, I've often seen some little brats, scrawny, real dirty black mess on them, look terrified, too. Parents drag them into temples and get them blessed and cured if they have the gold. The beard of Sheogorath, the wailing and noise, enough to drive a priest to... well, never mind. That's our problem. Nah, it's a problem with our suppliers, I tell you. Liban throws Coleman through his screen. Anyway, that's about the short of it, this Knuckles legend around here. I recall now it's widespread all over Tamriel, and knowing the place, maybe more than a grain of truth in the tale, and much, much more. The adventurer says, so I guess some of the darker dark elves sort of identify with this Knuckles, take on the persona, so to say? Yeah, that sort of sums it up, I guess. Though we don't see those types hauling off brats and sacks now, do we? Nah, that's what we does, girly brats anyway, isn't it not? Laban breaks a bottle over Coleman's head. Coleman falls unconscious. The adventurer says, it's a very interesting tale, gentlemen. Say, let me repay you with another bottle. What's that you're drinking? Ah, I thought so. Innkeep. More holy wine for these holy men. A blessing on you for that kind gesture, friend. I thank you. I sure could use one or three. Anyway, this fool's ebony, I've heard mutters and murmurs about that of late. Mostly eavesdropping, pardon me, listening to the mages and the like. What's with this stuff? Here, have another swig. Good. Laban says, well, we're not supposed to tell outsiders, but then you seem to know something already. And if you've been hearing mage gossip, well, why, maybe we could do some business, profit all around. Well, for the Akatosh Chantry, of course, and your fee, good sir. Aunt Ventura says, more and more interesting. Tell on, I pray you. Time for me to go convert that little lamppost girl. No. Not that one. The one, blonde. Friend, you'll have to excuse Komon. He's a bit, strange. Got these, Adventurer says. Oh, that's all right. We've all got our own. Epilogue. Our apologies for the quality of this drama so far. Thank goodness, right? Because it is pretty bad. But I promised I'd read all of them. If those of you still present will wait a few moments while our bard plays Silence Implies Consent, we will change the set for our next act, part the 2th. Please do not forget to tip your wench. Do you believe there's such a thing as fools, Ebony? Maybe we'll find out in part the 2th. Or maybe not. If you wish to follow along, there is the UESP website has a great list of all of them. There you go. We're about to start on part the 2th. And while we wait, I am just sitting here enjoying my character, and I might as well play with some mementos for you. Here's that. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Part the 2th, bearing mostly on Fool's Ebony and Temples. Same place, same inn, a bottle or two later. Enter Prologue, the adventurer, and Levin. Prologue. Little has occurred so far in our comedic drama. The adventurer, our dark elf rascal, has bought drinks for 2 priests of Akatosh. All have drunk considerably. One of the priests has rushed off in pursuit of his lamp girl. And unless I've forgotten something, or something happened when I was paying attention to something else, that is a complete synopsis for part the 1th. Here comes 2 more priests. Humble prologue must depart. Rayek and Steet enter. Rayek. Evening, Laban. Evening, stranger. My fellow priest here is Steet. I am Rayek. We are honored to serve Julianus. Adventurer says, what is this anyway? Priest night out? And I thought that your temples, Akatosh, Julianos, the rest, I thought them all cutthroat competitors in theology and gold, if you will forgive my bluntness. Yet you all seem the best of friends. Come to think of it, didn't I have a word with you, Steet, earlier? You said you were of the Temple of Stendar? A common misconception, friend, but one that we encourage. Really, we all work together closely, move between the temples as need dictate, exchange information, share funds, swap our sisters. Sorry to interrupt the merry slapstick, says Prologue, but I neglected to mention earlier that the Fool's Gold Saga, if that is the word, contains gratuitous reference to priestly misdeeds and sexual excess. Hope those of you in the audience of peevish, prudish, sullen, frumpy, or grumpy demeanors are not offended. Now then, on with the entertainment. Laban says, and all that, but it helps in our holy work if we are perceived to separate in competitive. Mind you, there are 1 or 2 religious organizations, well, sort of, that we do not have anything to do with. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Animals. Just animals. Venture says, such as? Laban says, well, the Dark Brotherhood, for one. Nasty bunch of thugs. And then there's the After Dark Society. This fellow seems a decent sort of chap. Seems to know something about mages and fools, Ebony. Rake responds to Laban. Really now? How interesting. Hey, fellow, have another bottle. This will bless your throat. My, yes, indeed it will. Venture says, thanks, Rake. Don't mind a bit. Laban says, but let me continue. I was explaining this Fool's Ebony to you. Well, Fool's Ebony now. Well, you know about ordinary ebony, how it's rare, only some dwarven clans dig it and sell it. Not too many these days and times. How's that popular song go? Where have all the dwarves gone long time ago? Labanza throws Inkeep at Steet. Rake breaks chair on Inkeep and Steet. Inkeep loses consciousness. So we're not going to act that one out. Laban says, there's a pile of real ebony up in Rothgarians somewhere north, I hear tell. You know how that dullish black ebony gets worked over by the mages, by some skilled armorers, made into all kinds of potent weapons, amulets, belts, what have you. All fetch a huge price when you can find any. And how the best was made long ago by those old dwarves. Excuse me, gotta clear my speaking voice. The adventurer loosens his tunic. Laban says, oh my apologies, friend sir. I see you have, what's that, an ebony torque? Oh my, and an ebony katana. Oh my, oh my. So you know all that, sir. Oh, that's all right, you didn't know. Here, have another bottle. Laban says, many thanks, kind sir. Well, then you know how every adventurer, even snotty kids, all the dungeon delvers, are always looking for ebony artifacts, weapons, whatnot. But what you may not know is some of the more experienced delvers hunt for raw ebony lodes, piles, dwarven leavings, that stuff. The raw ebony is far more valuable. Adventurer says, the raw unshaped material that provides work and power for so few, apparently just loaded with negative magicka. Right. Laban says, yes, quite so. Well, fool's ebony now. Looks just about like the real stuff. Runs in veins in the deep rocks, feels the same, smells almost the same. But the big difference, it's not real ebony. No power at all. If you pick some up, it gets your hands a bit dirty. Softer, too, by all accounts. Sort of shiny, too, but who can tell that? All that deep in some old mine, maybe a ghoul breathing down your neck. So it's just grab and run, I guess, down in those nasty holes. So the fools, the kids, the crazy delvers are always hauling up a sack of fool's ebony. And getting laughed at by the merchants, dealers, mages, us. Hence the fool's part. Stuff just gets thrown into the bay. Adventurer said, yeah, that's sort of what I heard from some mages, but I heard something else too. And just what was that, friend, if you want to tell us, of course? Oh, of course, I think we can come to some arrangement. Certainly, oh yes. Adventurer says, so yeah, these mages, Shub and Shub, they're always called Shub, aren't they? Anyway, these old guys were saying how this fool's ebony can burn. Not magically, but like an ordinary piece of wood. But the flame lasts far longer, gives off lots more heat. Makes no smoke to speak of, no noise. Very interesting. Mages were saying how the alchemists want it to heat the retorts and flasks. How the Mages Guild wants it to make and sell fake amulets and the like. Rotten trick, that. And especially the armorers, they want it bad for their forges, I guess. And the alchemists for their Olympics. Precisely my information. Now, it gets cold up here in the winter, doesn't it? And everyone is cutting down all those trees, making siege engines, boats, all that evil war machinery. All those rich royals and merchants got to heat their great big piles of homes. So the contesses can run around in next to nothing instead of furs, just like my sister. Laban bites Steet's arm. Steet shrieks and falls unconscious. Adventurer says, all those armorers got to keep their hearths and furnaces running. Laban says, all the mages got to keep their familiars warm, and the royals got to keep the contesses running, and all those peasants got to keep their animals warm. And the adventurer says, and to Sheogorath with the wife and kids, right? And I guess it's sort of hard for you priests to give blessings and cures when your fingers are all cold and stiff. Makes getting corks out a tad hard, to say nothing of opening those little twists of parchment. You speak truly indeed, a man of wisdom indeed, yes. So adventurer says, so where do we find this fool's ebony in quantity? Laban said, you put your finger. You have 6, I note. Oh, excuse me, sir. On the crux of the matter, I have heard rumors, just rumors, mind you, that there are huge, enormous veins of this stuff at one place on the surface, far up in the rock Arians. Bad place to go. But if you could get there and back, cartloads of the stuff, The adventurer says. That's just what I overheard from those mages far up there in the Rothgarians. Orcs, dragonlings, Daedra, Sheogorath only knows what. Those mages seem to know the spot, though mages wanted someone to... Rake asks. You didn't talk to the mages. I mean, you haven't, adventurer said. Oh no, they didn't even know I was there. Not yet, anyway. Laban said, good, good. Can't trust those mages, you know. Old fossils were turning their own mothers into sludge toads just for a bit of gold. Gold mad, power mad, mad. The whole rotten lot of them. But they don't have any mothers. Rake says, excellent. Seems to me, friend, or can we call you partner? Yes? Excellent. Seems to me, partner, that my brother priests and you should do some digging and poking around. See if we can get to those veins, those deposits, eh? Venturer says, yes, indeed, partners, but it would cost a fair pile of gold to get up there. Weapons, spells, women, clothing, carts and horses, women, food, potions. Best go well prepared up there. Laban says, no problem, partner. Our temples have certain resources, such that if we were guaranteed sole access, sole knowledge of the location, then we could finance someone with the requisite skills, such as yourself. And by happenstance, I am the keeper of the books. You see the opportunity? Venturer says, oh yes. Well, let's split a last bottle and shake on our agreement. Laban says, indeed, let us. We first need information. Who knows about the site up there? Where it is? How to reach it? Why don't we meet back here in, say, a week to the hour and see what we can learn meanwhile? Rake said, we need to find a merchant too, someone who can handle it for us, warehouses, distribution, and keep a shut mouth, the adventurer says. I'll make some inquiries about merchants. Got a contact or two. Trouble is, well, you know how these things go. Few golds here, few there. Before you know it, you've bribed half the town, or so it seems. Now, as luck would have it, I don't have much. Got swindled by a wretched mage some town south of here. Lost most of my belongings in a shipwreck. Laban says, yes, you need some seed money, as it were, to let me lift old Steed's purse. He made a lot renting out his sister last week. Thank you, Rake. Here, about 100 gold, enough? Adventurer says, oh yes, more than enough for a start, gentlemen. Good. Do we have a deal? Yes, it's agreed. 1 week. Epilogue. Things are happening now. I doubt it not. Patrons, I request that you recall that this is a work of fiction created by one of the finest writers of the asylum, Friendships, Prince, I could speak, of all Somerset. There is no such thing as fool's ebony. Furthermore, ebony is not mined as the priests have described the process. Grasp that, please. If you still enjoy the play as a rude work of fiction, stay with us for part the 3th. If you can't, farewell. And don't forget to tip the wenches, and so endeth part the 2th. I'm going to do something a little odd here and actually put the play on the screen, because it is actually hard to follow what's going on between all of the different characters. I know I sort of disappeared here, but I can fix this. It's hard to know what's going on without actually seeing it. So give me a moment. Here we go. This is the play. There. And we'll try to get this in the proper space so you can actually see it. I don't know why it's being stupid, but it is. Allow me to fix this. I want the window capture. Here we go. That should work. Now you can read along with the play. Fool's Ebony, Part the 3th, by Friendships. Part 3 of a playful story of an adventurer in Fool's Ebony. Part the 3th. In the Mages Guild, 1 to 3 days later. Enter prologue. We are now at the halfway point in our disjointed epic. If you are just arriving, you have missed little. The adventurer, our rogue dark elf, has joined with the quadripartite, that's a triumvirate +1, of priests intent on discovering a burning metal called Fool's Ebony and becoming wealthy. The priests have given our hero some gold for bribing merchants, but the only people who know where the fool's ebony is are the mages of the Mages Guild. As the epilogue pointed out at the end of Part the Tooth, there is no such thing as fool's ebony, and real ebony is not mined. Something our playwright here apparently did not research. Well, accept it as high fantasy, if you will, or whatever. Hark, here comes our hero now. Imagine the miasma, if that's the word I want, of magical elixirs, bubbling cauldrons, hovering balls of sparkling whatnot, and now the prologue must depart. Ho! Anyone around? Shub, over here, young man, in the corner. Morning, do I call you Shub? Oh yes, Shub is my name, Shub it is. How on Tamriel did you know? Can we have some privacy? I have a somewhat, delicate matter to discuss. No need for privacy here, we mages do not hide anything. Fool's ebony? Quick, through this door. Turn right, turn left. Just let me throw a privacy spell around us. Zap. Good. Now, sir, by the way, meet my fellow mage, Shub. Now, you mentioned Fool's Ebony? Well, I fancy myself a bit of an expert in ebony. Had quite a bit come and go through my hands in my time, I have. We noticed that you have an ebony amulet, an ebony katana, of lightning, no less, and an ebony belt. Hands off the toys, gentlemen, please. Forgive us, but we so appreciate such fine items. Collect them, too. Well, the other day, just by chance, of course, I just happened to hear two priests of the Temple of Stendar, I think it was. They were a bit high in their cups, I think, but loud and never noticed me skulking. Standing there. They were going on about this fool's ebony, stuff like the real thing, only no magic at all, none. But it burns like wood, only longer, hotter, no smoke, nice even heat. Yes, we've heard similar rumors. Seen a bit of that stuff, lumps from a sack or two that some crazed delver dragged up, that kind of thing. Right, Shub? Oh yes, right, that kind of thing. Right. I must remember to keep the secret, whatever it is. Well, these fool priests seem to talk as if they knew a location for lots. Piles of that stuff somewhere up in the Rothgarians. Where? Who? Did they say? How? When? Where? You didn't let them know you were listening, did you? Of course not. What do you take me for, a priest lover? Calm yourself, my lord. That's better. Just don't go fiddling with that katana so much. It makes us nervous. Yes, nervous. Very. See, here, sit down, there. Want some mulled wine? No? Oh, well, just have to finish it myself. So they seem to know the location. This means we have to act fast, quickly, speedily, and with great rapidity. Oh, yes. They were talking like they were going to get a load in a few weeks or so. Oh, my. Oh, dear me. Oh. Now then, seems you know a fair amount about this fool's ebony, and you realize the potential. Just think. Big, warm fires in all our study rooms, selling it to the palace, selling it to those stupid alchemists. The Armorers Guild will be good for a lot. Keep out familiars, nice and warm. And our posteriors. Just think how Daedra seducers love a nice warm fire. Give smoldering lumps to the peasants to warm their hovels with, in return for some gold, of course. Just to think of all of that gold. Trouble is, son, we would like to get that stuff by the cartload. Bring it down here. Have some trustworthy merchant put a spell on him. Have some merchants act as sort of a middleman for us. But then why the delay, gentlemen? You seem like an honest fellow. We'll tell you, mind you, you let out a word of this and there'll be a fire Daedra in your bed. But no threats between gentlemen, right? Very well, I shall be the soul of discretion. You see, we know that where the stuff is, cartloads and cartloads of it, but we can't get there and back. We're not the outdoorsy types. Far safer here in town. Much warmer, too. Think of all the supplies we would have to take. All those nasty things out there. Did you know that seducers won't come to us in the wilderness? We'd have to hire guards to keep those awful priests away. And the strain of dealing with all those coarse types, the merchants, the armorers, the royals. I think I comprehend. You want some experienced explorer hero type, someone used to the wilderness to get it for you, to set up a supply line and so on? Exactly. And find us a nice, usable merchant. Whoops. Someone we can control. With a big warehouse, delivery service, that kind of thing. Well, gentlemen, let me volunteer my services. I have always admired you mage gentlemen. So clever, so sharp. No fooling you in anything, is there? No, no fooling us. This, ladies and gentlemen, is irony. Tell you what, I could probably arrange a suitable merchant for you. Take some gold, though. Those thieves know how to value of a gold piece. As luck would have it, my last gold was swindled off me by a thieving priest in some little town south of here, and I lost a good lot of good stuff in a shipwreck just before then. Well, since you've agreed to help us, we can spare some gold from the treasury, can't we, Shub? Oh, oh yes, there's lots there. Always make more. Now, I do need to know roughly where this site is. Got to pick the right breed of horse, calculate my supplies to the last drop, figure out what weapons I might need. Supplies, like food, little things like that. Diameter of the cartwheels and square yurts. Ambush points for the priests in case they try to get up there. Tell you what, here's 500 more. Go get the thing started. Yes, we can always make some more. Shut up. Excuse us, where was I? To get a merchant, guards, carts, whatever you think it will take. Come back if you need more. But what about those priests? I have an idea or two there. Let me get friendly with them. Maybe hire a couple of good lamppost girls. Lay in a few cases of holy wine. I'll have them eating out of my hand in no time. And if you show me where this fool's ebony is, why, I can misdirect them. Send them straight into a troll's den or something. You're the expert. Here, let me show you on a map. I don't need to mention fire Daedras, do I? See, so seems to be, only 30 days there this time of year. Maybe 40 back with the loads. Let me study this a bit more. Can't take it with you, of course. Don't want this getting out now. Oh, no, that's fine. Look, let me have a bit more gold. Going to need some heavy-duty carts. See here, this section? Cut by all these washes? The flummox there will be just something terrible. And these ruins full of ghosts, I bet. And this pass, just full of willies, too. If you say so. My, seems we picked the right man, right, Shub? Oh, yes, indeed. So, why don't I make arrangements, get back to you in, say, a week? Say, sure you don't want to come with me? After all, there's nothing like the wilderness life. Waking up with the sun and shaking off the frost. Catching an orc for breakfast. Ever have orc guts fried over stinkwood? Oh, that's a treat. Checking each stream for dead spiders, giant spiders, or live ones. Imp jerky for lunch. Scanning the ridges for dragonlings. Standing guard against ice daedra in a binding snowstorm. Oh, what a life. No, we better stay here at the guild. Got our duties after all. Someone's got to mind the store. Someone's got to get the word out to selected customers. No, thank you, sir. It does sound like such a lovely life, but I think we best be here. Yes, indeed. A pity, gentlemen. Well, I'll be about it then, and don't worry if you see me with those priests. Got to mislead and misdirect them, haven't I? 1 week, then. Epilogue. Shub and shub, ladies and gentlemen. Implausibly retarded mages, yes, but perhaps there's something more to them than this act suggests. Do you think so? Maybe? Well, if you're not in the theater for Part the Fourth, you won't know for certain, will you? Don't forget to tip your wenches and think on that while we change the set. And that's it for this evening, ladies and gents.